The PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Games with Gold games have both been revealed, and in this video, I want to bring back a series where I take a look at both months' service offerings and compare them, decide on which one is better. Maybe you guys agree, maybe you guys disagree. I'll let you guys be the decider on that in the comments section below, but let's talk about it, and let's first go over the PlayStation Plus game. The PlayStation 5 game that you are getting in the month of September is Overcooked All You Can Eat, which is a pretty decent offering. I mean, Overcooked is an enjoyable game that it doesn't take super investment or anything like that. It's a fun multiplayer experience, so you and your friends can all get it through Plus and play together. It's got an 84 on Metacritic, so I do think this is a quality offering. The PlayStation 5 games are always not going to be slam dunk home runs, like, you know, getting Oddworld Soulstorm as a new release. That's not going to happen all the time, or Control Ultimate Edition. But in Overcooked All You Can Eat, this came out back in November of last year, I think launch day of the PlayStation 5, so to have it as a Plus title, pretty decent, and it does go for like $30 or $40. So value-wise, it's a solid offering as well. Again, an 84 on Metacritic for that. The other offering on PlayStation 4, obviously playable through PlayStation 5, Predator Hunting Grounds, which has a 56 on Metacritic. This is a console exclusive that was released as a relatively big multiplayer title. It wasn't received that well, again, at a 56 on Metacritic. That's not the strongest reception in the world, but it was enjoyable to, I would say, the people that actually played the game more so. But another game with a multiplayer focus, so if you are playing with friends, that's going to make it super accessible, considering if your friends have PlayStation Plus, you guys can all jump into it, and hopefully this does revitalize the multiplayer scene of this game. That's sometimes the issue with multiplayer-focused titles, especially if they're not received really, really well, but with the addition of things like PlayStation Plus, that can help out a little bit. 56 on Metacritic, 6.1 user score on there as well, so take that for what you will. Not the best game in the world, but a decent offering nonetheless. And lastly, probably the premier PlayStation 4 title that is being offered is Hitman II with an 82 on Metacritic. I've loved the Hitman game since the 2016 reboot, so to speak. It was an episodic experience, and that did turn some people off, and while I haven't played enough of Hitman 3 to give a final definitive answer on that, Hitman 2 was a game that I really enjoyed, and I think from a stealth action title standpoint, it's a game with a decent bit of replayability, and the game is just a very, very well-designed game. I know Hitman doesn't get a ton of buzz these days. It doesn't seem like Hitman has the buzz from like the Blood Money days, but Hitman 2 was quite a good game, and I think as a Plus title, it's a pretty good offering. Now, yes, it is a bit of a older game. It came out in 2018. It's not even that old, but yeah, maybe some of you guys already own it, so that could be a bummer, but definitely a game that I would highly recommend you guys to check out if you have the time and you do want to get into a stealth action game. This is a pretty good one. I've been playing Hitman since Hitman Absolution, and then I went back and played a lot of the other games because, you know, Blood Money came out when I was younger, but I remember Blood Money being a huge title back in the day. But yeah, Hitman 2, not a bad title at all, and definitely the premier game, and definitely a solid outing for Plus. You know, I would overall say that September isn't as good as some of the peak months for PlayStation Plus. Like, we had some insane months earlier this year, and even in late 2020. Early this year, we had the month with Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I think that month was Control Ultimate Edition as well. That's a month that's going to stand out as one of the best months of all time, and Maquette was on there as well. Actually, no, Control wasn't that month. It was Final Fantasy VII Remake, Maquette, and one other game that is completely escaping me right now. And then you had the month with Oddworld Soulstorm, Plague Tale Innocence, Control Ultimate Edition. There's been a lot of quality months, and while I wouldn't say that this month is at the level of those months, you can't always expect a slam dunk home run, and I think a lot of people were let down by August's offerings, that this is a bit of a turnaround, and I think people will overall be quite happy with it. Alright, now let's move on to Xbox Live Games with Gold that you can obviously dissect in a couple of different ways. With Games with Gold, of course, you do get 2 Xbox 360 games and 2 Xbox One games, all of these games fully playable on the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One, so it will be accessible to everyone. Let's take a look at it. Let's start with the Xbox 360 games, because one of them definitely has piqued my interest, and that is Zone of the Enders, the HD Collection. Wow, what a great offering this one is. This includes Zone of the Enders 1 and 2. It's not the Zone of the Enders, the second runner, but Zone of the Enders, the HD Collection, is still solid. Zone of the Enders has a fantastic soundtrack, pretty decent gameplay, a decent story, and It's a franchise that I would love to see be continued for the long term, but I don't think that's got a lot of potential to happen. But as a Games with Gold title, hopefully this exposes a lot of new people to Zone of the Enders, because it's such an underrated gem from yesteryear, and it was so nice that they did an HD collection. And the HD collection on PlayStation 3, by the way, I believe it's going for like an obscene price now, because PlayStation 3 games have jacked up in price, but nice of it to be with the Games with Gold, and people can check it out for free with their Xbox Live Gold subscription, or if they have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that's always nice. And that is something that makes the Games with Gold offerings a little bit murky, because you don't want crossover with Game Pass, and that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to pick out games, and you do have to allocate your resources effectively. But Zone of the Enders HD Collection, I would say those resources have been allocated pretty effectively. Also, Samurai Showdown 2 is the other Xbox 360 game. This one will be available from September 16th to September 30th to add to your library. This is a throwback of a fighting game. This dropped all the way back in 2008. It's got a 72 on Metacritic, by the way. Zone of the Enders is at a 75. Yeah, very much a throwback, a little bit before my time when we talk about the Neo Geo fighting games. But hey, another title to be added to your Xbox 360 library that will be playable on Xbox Xbox One and Xbox Series X. Okay, now for the Xbox One titles, the first game you're going to get is Warhammer Chaos Bane. That'll be available from September 1st to September the 30th, and Warhammer Chaos Bane got a pretty mixed reception. Some of the reviews were very positive of it, but it's got like a 68 on Metacritic, yeah, and that's not that great of a score. However, this is a co-op focused title, so if you do want to play a game with a couple of friends, it is offering you that. And you can have some fun as far as a dungeon crawler is concerned. Probably was not worth the initial $50. It's at $40 now. But to add it as an Xbox Games with Gold title, I don't think is the worst title in the world. Definitely not a great one, but a decent one. And then lastly, you have Mulaka. Now, Mulaka is a game that came out back in 2018 on PC. It has a very positive reception on Steam, 129 reviews. 92% of those reviews are positive. 67 on Metacritic, unfortunately. Game looks interesting. Honestly, I've never played it. This is a game that I didn't even know existed, but sometimes it's good to put those games on Xbox Game Pass, so again, much like Zone of the Enders, you can expose it to new people. The game notes dive into northern Mexico's breathtaking landscapes with Mulaka, a 3D action-adventure game, and it is a game that, again, is a little bit older. Art style is pretty colorful, all things considered, and did get some good reviews from a few outlets. Definitely has a lot of cultural influences, so that looks quite cool as well, and a variety of different gameplay elements on top of that. A game that's probably not going to garner a lot of buzz or enthusiasm, but that'll be available from September 16th to October the 15th, so quite a while to pick that one up. You'll have the middle of this month to the middle of next month. So that's going to wrap it up for the Games with Gold lineup. Now, which month is better? I gotta say, this one's a pretty easy slam dunk for PlayStation, Sony, and the PlayStation Plus lineup. Overcooked All You Can Eat, I think, is a pretty good offering. Again, that is a game that still goes for $30 to $40. Hitman 2 is an excellent offering. I think a lot of people will enjoy that game. Predator Hunting Grounds, not the best, but it's a multiplayer game that I think a lot of people are going to check out and have some fun with, and I think as a Plus title, it's definitely a little bit more palatable than spending, $40 on it. Games with Gold isn't bad. Zone of the Enders HD Collection is definitely the standout, and if you have Games with Gold, or if you have Xbox Live Gold, definitely go check out Zone of the Enders HD Collection, because I think you guys are going to get a kick out of that. Or at the very least, if you're a PlayStation guy, go ahead and check out Zone of the Enders, the second runner, Mars, because that is a great redone version of Zone of the Enders. So yeah, check those out. Warhammer Chaos Bane, Mulaka, and Samurai Showdown 2, decent as well, but definitely got to give the easy win to Sony and PlayStation here, because I think Hitman 2 kind of outshines all of those games, except for maybe Zone of the Enders, but that is a 360 game. But yeah, Hitman 2 still outshines that, and then you got Predator Hunting Grounds and Overcooked 2. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Did you think Microsoft had the better month with Games with Gold, or would you go with Sony and PlayStation Plus? Let us know. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.